That was me, staring at the flower order confirmation on my laptop screen. Orchids. Her favorite. I was sending them to a hotel 2 cities over, and my hand was still hovering over the mouse, my eyes fixed on the name I'd just typed into the delivery address. Her name. Rachel. Let me rewind a bit, before you think I was doing this to be cute or romantic. I wasn't. This wasn't one of those just because moments. It was suspicion. Raw, unfiltered, gut-level suspicion that had been gnawing at me for weeks. The kind that doesn't yell, it whispers. It taps on the back of your neck while you're pouring coffee or brushing your teeth, asking, "Are you sure you know her? Are you really sure?" Rachel had told me she'd be out of town for a marketing conference. For days. Said she'd be sharing a room with her colleague, Mia. "You'd hate it," she said, tossing a sundress into her suitcase with the ease of someone who traveled often. Boring lectures and bad hotel food. I remember watching her zip the suitcase, thinking, she's getting good at lying. That thought wasn't loud. It didn't come with thunder or heartbreak. It was subtle, just a taste of unease on the back of my tongue. But I didn't say anything. I hugged her, kissed her cheek, watched her ride off in that Uber with a breezy wave out the window. The next morning, I opened our shared Google Calendar, half out of habit. She hadn't blocked the days off. Weird. Rachel was meticulous about scheduling. A missed block of time stood out. Then came the real hiccup, the conference. I Googled it, out of curiosity. It wasn't until next month. Now, I'm not the jealous type. Really, I've had my fair share of relationships, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that trust isn't just a virtue. It's a decision you make daily. But this wasn't just paranoia. This was data. It didn't add up. So, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked our bank statement. Joint account. We used it mostly for groceries, date nights, stuff like that. There it was. A charge from the Harlan. A hotel downtown. Not 2 cities over. Not near any conference center. Just local. I sat back in my chair, hands folded behind my head, staring at that transaction like it was a map of some foreign land. I didn't know what I was looking at, exactly, but I knew I was staring at the beginning of the end. That's when the idea hit me. Flowers. Not a confrontation. Not yet. Just evidence. Quiet, elegant, undeniable. I logged into a flower delivery service. Chose white orchids. She loved those. Added a little card. To the love of my life, surprising you at your hotel felt too obvious. So I'm sending these instead. Can't wait to hear all about your conference. M. I didn't sign my full name. I wanted to see if she'd even acknowledge them. Maybe she'd text me, make up a story. Maybe she wouldn't. But the real point? I sent them to the Harlan, room 816, the room listed on our bank statement. That's how I learned something else about myself. I wasn't looking for a way to fix things. I was looking for the truth. Clean and sharp. I waited the rest of the day with my phone by my side like it was some kind of detonator. Nothing. No call. No text. No, you're sweet. Or, I love you. Nothing until 9:17 p.m. when she messaged me, just 4 words. Hey babe, miss you. That was it. No photo of the room. No selfie with Mia. No mention of the flowers. Just normalcy. Polite deception wrapped in affection. I stared at that message like it was written in another language. I didn't reply. The next morning, I called the hotel. Hi. Yes. I'm just confirming that the flowers for room 816 were delivered yesterday. The woman on the phone was chipper. Let me check. Oh yes, delivered and signed for. A Rachel Malone. Signed for. By her. No mistake. Still, I waited. Gave it another day, pretending I didn't know. I asked how the conference was going. She replied with a photo of her laptop open on a hotel bed, coffee beside it. I reverse searched the photo out of curiosity. It was a stock image. Stock. Image. That's when the quiet in me turned to something else. A kind of numb clarity. I wasn't heartbroken yet. I was suspended. Like I'd slipped under a sheet of cold water, and everything above the surface had gone distant. This wasn't just a lie. It was a performance. A carefully staged version of herself designed to pacify me while she lived a separate life in plain sight. I didn't know who she was with. I didn't know how long it had been going on. But I knew this wasn't the first lie. Just the first one she got sloppy with. That night, I sat on the couch, her favorite blanket still draped over the armrest. I picked it up, smelled the faint trace of her perfume. My fingers clenched. Then I opened my laptop. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No, I was going to wait until she came back. I wanted to see her eyes. I wanted her to lie to my face. and I was going to let her. Because some truths aren't meant to be yelled. They're meant to be witnessed. She walked through the door like nothing had happened. Suitcase in one hand, her favorite takeout in the other, Thai from that place on Oak Street. She smiled when she saw me, and I swear, for a second, I believed her. Not the lies, but the performance. The easy grace of it. Like we were still us. Missed you, she said, dropping her bag and kicking off her shoes like she lived in innocence. You wouldn't believe the speakers. This one guy from Google talked about predictive behavior algorithms. Blew my mind. I just nodded, leaning against the kitchen counter, heart still, like I'd rehearsed this scene 100 times. I was watching a movie I'd seen before, only this time I knew how it ended. She moved closer, kissed me on the cheek, then opened the fridge like she was coming home from battle. I brought you leftovers from that Lebanese place near the hotel. Thought of you. I didn't ask which hotel. I didn't need to. Instead, I asked, how was Mia? She didn't flinch. Snored the whole time, she said. We barely slept. I almost laughed. She's good, I thought. A natural. Like she believed it herself. We ate dinner like any other night. She told stories about panels she didn't attend and people she didn't meet. Her eyes lit up with fake nostalgia, hands dancing in the air with every fabricated detail. I watched it all, committing it to memory. The moment she said, "You'd have been bored out of your mind," I knew she wasn't trying to convince me. It was herself she was soothing. After dinner, we sat on the couch. Same spot, same blanket. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her breath warm against my neck. I should have been angry, furious, even. But instead, I felt something else. Detached. Like my heart had stepped outside of me to watch from the doorway. The Rachel I loved, who I thought I loved, was gone. And the woman next to me? She didn't even know I'd noticed. She fell asleep on my chest, just like always. I stayed up. Around 2 a.m., I carefully slipped out from under her, padded to the kitchen, and opened my laptop again. I couldn't sleep. Not with that card still burned into my mind. To the love of my life. I checked the flower receipt again. Verified the room number. The signature. I opened my notes app and started writing. Not a confrontation. Not a confession. Just the truth in my words. I didn't know why I was doing it yet. Maybe to ground myself. Maybe to hold on to the version of me that didn't deserve to be lied to. The next few days passed in a strange limbo. She acted normal. Too normal. Kept asking if I was okay, if something was off. You seem quiet, she said one night, stirring pasta. I'm just tired, I replied. And in a way I was. Tired of guessing. Of pretending not to know. Of holding space for a version of our relationship that no longer existed. So I started collecting proof. Not for court, not for revenge. Just closure. Her phone was never far from her, but one night, she left it charging in the bathroom while she showered. I didn't touch it. Instead, I mirrored her backup. She'd connected it to our home Wi-Fi, and I'd learned just enough about tech over the years to dig into the auto-sync folder on our cloud. And there it was. Photos. One from the hotel lobby, time-stamped the night I sent the flowers. Her in a cocktail dress I'd never seen, smiling beside a man whose face was half-cropped but familiar enough. His hand rested on her hip. They were drinking champagne, not coffee. And the caption? Finally some alone time. The breath left me slow. My body didn't react the way I expected. No rage, no heartbreak, just a kind of still grief. Not for her. For us. For who I'd been with her. For the man who believed in that smile. The next photo, taken the morning after, showed the same man, shirtless, holding a room service tray. She'd blurred his face before posting it to her close friend's story. I wasn't on that list. But cloud backups don't lie. I didn't tell her I knew. Not yet. I needed more time. To be sure. To be steady. That weekend, we went to brunch with her friends. She held my hand across the table, laughed at my jokes, wore my hoodie that afternoon like it was some badge of loyalty. It was surreal, watching her slip between truths, watching everyone believe her. That night, as she drifted off to sleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling, wide awake, a question echoing in my chest. Was it always this easy for her to lie? I didn't have the answer, but I knew I'd find it. Soon. The moment I chose wasn't loud. It was a Tuesday. Clear skies, coffee on the stovetop, and Rachel humming to herself in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone. She wore that worn-out college sweatshirt I always loved, sleeves too long, hair pulled into a lazy bun. If someone had taken a photo right then, it would have looked like a perfect moment. Like nothing was wrong. Like we were just two people in sync, living quietly. But I knew what was coming. And maybe that's why I felt so calm. Hey, I said, walking in with a small white envelope in my hand. Got something for you. She looked up, surprised. What's this? Just open it, I said, sliding it across the counter. She wiped her fingers on a paper towel, then flipped the envelope open. Inside was a printed photo. The one from the hotel. The one with her and the man, her dress, his hand on her waist. She blinked. Didn't speak. I sent you flowers, I said quietly. To that hotel. The Harlan. Room 816. White orchids. Your favorite. Still no words. Just her eyes tracing every inch of the photo like it might change if she stared hard enough. I stepped back, leaning against the fridge. You signed for them. I called. The front desk confirmed it. And then, later that night, you texted me from your conference. Remember? Silence. The kind that weighs the room down. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Tried again. I can explain. No, I cut in gently. Don't. Please don't insult both of us. She looked small. I'd never seen her like that. Shoulders curled inward, voice caught in her throat, guilt written across her face in bold strokes. I wasn't angry. I wasn't shouting. I was just done. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the second thing I'd printed. A letter. Short. Honest. The words I'd written at 2 a.m. on the night she fell asleep on my chest, the night I'd first opened the cloud and seen what she'd tried to hide. I slid it across the counter, beside the photo. What's this? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. My goodbye, I said. She didn't cry right away. Not when she read the letter. Not when she looked up at me. Not even when she whispered, you don't have to do this. But I did. Because once you see the truth, clearly, painfully, unflinchingly, you can't go back to pretending. You had a choice, I told her. You could have told me you were unhappy. You could have walked away before this. But instead, you made me a character in your lie. Her tears came then. Quiet, like a faucet left on too long. I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. I packed that night. Not much, just what I needed. A duffel bag, my laptop, a few essentials. Left the rest behind. As I zipped up the bag, she stood in the hallway, arms folded like she was trying to hold herself together. Was it just him? I asked. Not accusing. Just curious. She hesitated. That was answer enough. I nodded once. Okay. No fight. No threats. Just that final clarity that comes when everything else has fallen away. As I walked to the door, she said, I didn't mean to hurt you. I stopped, hand on the knob. That's the problem, I said. You didn't care enough not to. And then I left. No last look. No dramatics. Just silence and a September breeze on my face as I stepped out into the early dusk. That was 6 months ago. I've since found a quiet place up north. A little apartment overlooking a lake. Mornings are slow. Coffee tastes better. The world feels honest again. I still think about her sometimes. Not with anger, not even with sadness. Just recognition. She was a chapter, not the whole story. And every now and then, when I pass a florist, I stop and look at the orchids. Not because I miss her, but because they remind me of the moment I chose truth over illusion. And I'd choose it again. Every time.